Hey y'all, let's get right into it. This is Travel with Rekyiah, and here are the 8 things that you need to do before your cruise. Number 1 is to secure your lodging and transportation. A good rule of thumb is that you should plan to arrive at least 1 to 2 days before your cruise is set to depart. So I learned this the hard way. We drove into the port the day of, but we were supposed to get there like 6 to 8 hours before our embarkation time. So I thought, we already have plenty of time. I ended up getting a flat tire in the middle of a bridge in Florida, and we have to like Fred Flintstone on the spare tire for like 2.5, 3 hours, which turned into 6 hours. So that might be a little dramatic, but it turned into at least 5 hours, and we were pushing it for getting to our cruise before it left. So for that reason, make sure you arrange to have a hotel in the area of the port before the day, at least the day before your cruise is set to depart. Not only securing lodging, but also transportation. So I know personally, I usually just Uber from the airport to the cruise port because it's usually just me and like 1 or 2 other people. But if you have a bigger group, it might be better to do a shuttle service. Sometimes hotels can have shuttles that take you from the hotel to the cruise port. So just make sure that you know how you're gonna transport to and from the cruise port, as well as where you're gonna stay when you arrive or when you depart if you decide to stay for an extra day. Highly recommended, by the way. So number 2 is gonna be packing. Packing for a cruise ship might be a little different than packing for some other trips. So let's talk about some do's and don'ts. So it's really important to know what you are and are not allowed to bring on the cruise ship. This does vary by cruise line. So before you pack, make sure you've gone through your cruise line's list to see what's allowed and what is not. For example, some things that are typically not allowed on cruise ships include heating pads, irons, and even sometimes scissors. Or the fact that most cruise lines don't allow you to bring alcohol, but they may allow you to bring a bottle of wine or champagne. So definitely check on that if that's something that you're interested in. It's also important to know of some things that may come in handy for your vacation, such as a nightlight for an interior cabin because they don't have windows and they get really dark, which is great for sleeping, but sometimes can be bad when you're trying to get up and walk to the bathroom. A power strip in case your cabin only has 1 outlet, which is a thing, by the way, but there are specific types of power strips that are allowed. If I'm not mistaken, most cruise lines only allow power strips that don't have surge protectors. Packing the items you need for theme nights on the cruise, and the list goes on. I'll make a full video for you guys on the do's and don'ts of packing for your cruise, so just make sure on the lookout for that. Number 3. Number 3 is to complete online check-in, print out any boarding documents, and make sure that you've printed and attached any luggage tags that you may need for your checked luggage. Don't wait till the day of to complete your online check-in. A lot of times they don't even let you check in the day of unless you check in at the port, which makes the process longer for you. Make your life easier, complete check-in before your cruise's sail date. Number 4 is to prepare a carry-on for embarkation day. So when you check your luggage, it will arrive at your stateroom, but there's some variance as to whether it arrive earlier in the afternoon or late at night. So if there are things that are really important, you want to make sure that you have those. So some really important things to pack in your carry-on include medications, swimsuits if you want to get in the pool before your luggage arrives, boarding documents, a portable charger, or anything else that you might need before your luggage arrives at your room. Download the cruise line's app. It houses the itinerary for the day. It houses excursions. So if you're thinking about booking an excursion, a lot of times you can do that through the app. It also houses typically messaging. So if you want to message other people on board, you should be able to do that through the cruise line's app as well. Not to mention making dinner reservations, as well as keeping track of the ship's time. So ship's time can be different from our time back home. So our phones are not always accurate, but that app is always going to be accurate as to what the time is where you're located. Next is to research your itinerary and book shore excursions. This means understanding your itinerary, which days you're in which port, and for how long. That means when you get to port and when you're expected to be back on the ship so that you can maximize your time each day. I also 100% recommend looking up your excursions, researching your excursions before you book them, because excursions can be pricey and we like to see that you're getting what you are looking for. I'm a big fan of using YouTube and Instagram and TikTok to just see some reviews of people who have done excursions that I'm thinking about, to see if it's worth it and to see what their experience was like. Next one is a biggie. Make sure you notify your bank that you're gonna be out of the country. It might sound silly, but banks do a good job of monitoring your transactions. So if you're somebody that lives in Ohio and all of a sudden you're in Bermuda purchasing, then your bank might be like, hey, I don't think this is them, so I'm gonna lock their account. You don't want your account locked on vacation. I learned that from experience as well, and it was just between one state. Like, I went from North Carolina to South Carolina and my account got locked. So make sure that you notify your bank as to when you're going on vacation, what port you're leaving out of, what destinations you're going to travel to, and when you're going to be back, so that you will not be locked out of your bank account on vacation. And last but not least, number 8. This one will save you hundreds of dollars, literally. Make sure that you understand Wi-Fi and connectivity at sea. That means when you get to the cruise port, cellular data goes off. This was another thing that I learned the hard way, but go ahead and research and see whether or not, number 1, Wi-Fi is included in whatever package that you bought for your cruise, whether it's reliable, so do some research and figure that out. But the most important part is to make sure that your data is turned off. Unless you have some sort of international plan, you know that data overseas does not work anyways. I came back to a $400 international fee from my phone company, even though my data didn't work. So make sure data's off, and that some people like to turn airplane mode on just to make sure that the data is not on. Learn from my mistake, make sure your data is off. Getting Wi-Fi is a personal preference. Some people like to just be completely disconnected. I'm the type of person that I really like to be able to contact people who are on the trip with me, or like family, like close relatives back home. I do like the disconnected aspect, so I'm not on it very often. And sometimes it can be a little spotty even anyways, but it can be hard to contact people on the ships, even through the messaging section on the cruise lines app, if you don't have Wi-Fi. So again, this is a personal preference. I understand that in the middle of the ocean, sometimes Wi-Fi can be a little spotty. Let me know down in the comments, what are some other things that you do to prepare to get ready for your cruise? I currently am 12 days away from the celebrity reflection and absolutely excited. This will be my first celebrity cruise, so I can't wait to take you guys on it with me. And that's it for me. Thanks for tuning in. If you want to know more cruise recommendations, reviews, tips, hacks, make sure you subscribe to me so that you can stay in the know and up to date about how to prepare and enjoy your cruise vacation. This is Travel with Rekyiah. Follow me for more.